Hi, today we are going to present the Part B of our phonetics unit by Evan and Jimena. I hope you like it.
We are going to start off with the anatomy of the vocal tract. First, we want to know what is it? Well, the vocal tract is everything that we use to produce sounds, and this plays a crucial role in the production of speech in English. The vocal tract can be used as a dynamic system that shapes the breath stream to produce different sounds. Um, and here in the picture, we can see some of the most important anatomical features that are involved in it. Well, it doesn't show in the picture, but the first thing is lungs. I don't think we saw it in class, but I think it's a pretty good idea to have this as a side note that thanks to lungs, we can actually breathe and being able to produce sounds. Lungs is a process where this whole thing of talking starts, which push air up through the trachea and to the larynx. Um, the next thing that we have is the larynx, also known as the voice box, that is collocated at the top of the trachea, and the larynx houses the vocal folds that is often called the vocal cords. These ones are critical for phonation. When the vocal folds come together and vibrate, they produce what we call voicing. This is the characteristic of many sounds in English, like vowels and voiced consonants. For example, like B, D, G, A. Next one is the pharynx. This is above the larynx, and it is a tube that extends to the base of the skull and links to the nasal and oral cavities. This works for us to know the quality of the sounds that we are producing. Next, the thing that we have is the whole oral cavity, and the oral cavity is a lot of things. Here we can find the hard palate, the soft palate that is called also the velum, the teeth, the alveolar ridge, and the tongue, also the lips. All of these help us to vocalize into words. This system allows the diverse range of sounds in English, and each requiring precise coordination of these anatomical elements. So everything that we have is very important for us to produce a sound and actually words that can be understood in English, and not only in English but in any type of language. Moving on to the next slide, we have the differences of phonemes and allophones. Last semester, we understood what was phoneme and we kept studying what phonemes are. But now, with a new concept called allophones, we are going to see what the differences are in order to not get confused. Phonemes are the smallest unit of sound that can be distinguished the meaning between words. For example, the sounds of R and V. For example, the sounds of R and B. They are separate phonemes. You can see they are not at all alike, but they can change the whole meaning of words. And we have here the example of rat and bat. You see, that is almost the same word, but what distinguishes is that little unit of sound that can change the whole word. But what is allophones? Well, allophones are the variation of the phoneme that do not change the meaning of a word. Okay. Even though they are pronounced slightly different, the variation often depend of the phonetic environment. That means, for example, your accent that you might have. I have an example here that is the phoneme n. Well, the variation of nice is n, right? But when we put it in bank, we are not using the n sound. We are using the ng sound.
Okay, now let's talk about the features of sounds. First of all, we have voicing, which is divided on two, voiced and voiceless. Voiced are sounds produced with vibrating vocal folds, and voiceless are sounds produced without vocal cord vibration. The only difference is the one produces more air than the other. Then we have nasality, which are sounds in which air flows through the nose, such as and n. And then we have rounding, which is the production of a sound with the lips rounded. This can be seen with the vowels. And last one, closure, which are the sound of an abrupt break of closure. The next topic is phonetics composition of words. First of all, we have the syllable who has two parts, its onset, any consonant proceeding to the vowel, and its rhyme, which are all the phonemes from the vowel to the end of the syllable. Then the rhyme divides on two, the nucleus and the coda. The nucleus are the vowels and the coda is any consonant following the nucleus. This leads us to the word stress, which means when a word has more than one syllable in English, one syllable will receive more importance than the others when it is pronounced, such as the word record and record. The meaning is changing and it's part of speech, such as one being a noun and the other a verb. And finally, to wrap up with this video, we have the phonetic reduction of words, which can be happened in 5 different ways. First of all, we have the weak form, which means they are not pronounced fully when you are speaking naturally. And then we have the opposite, which is the strong form, when we pronounce the words alone or when we emphasize them. Then we have assimilation, when a speech sound becomes similar or identical to a neighboring sound. And the other, which is elision, which is the omission of a sound or phoneme in a speech. And finally, we have the vowel reduction. It means that a vowel is pronounced or e instead of another full vowel. Here we have some examples of assimilation, weak and strong form, and elision. Thank you.